Weekend it has been in Obuasi of the Ashanti region, where residents are left in shock over the extrajudicial killing of at least 7 individuals identified to be illegal miners, according to the Ghana Armed Forces. But it's left the community in shock over what has transpired. Quite a gory scene there, where some 60 individuals alleged to be illegal miners then decided to storm a gold concession belonging to Anglo Gold Ashanti. Is the reason for which you're seeing the pictures we have now as excerpts of the unfortunate incident happening within the Ashanti region for you. But there's a need for us to get into the story and tell you why we're here today and talking about the Obuasi Mine Clash and the extrajudicial killings that we are talking about tonight. And we'll be getting into the very details for you, talking about the figures and all that you need to know about this latest. Of course, shall we get to it then? Because the entire community in the Ashanti region has been talking about this, the fact that they've never seen anything like this. And let's get to it by telling you about the figures that we're looking at in terms of the perspective of the Ghana Armed Forces. 60 in all illegal miners as they are being described by the Ghana Armed Forces. And of course, all of this will be subject to investigations in the coming days, for which we will be able to give you a clear picture of what's happening. But this is the number, 60. 60 individuals, you know, in the middle of the night, somewhere over the weekend, deciding to take up arms and then moving to a gold mining concession which belongs to Anglo Gold Ashanti. That's the account of the Ghana Armed Forces. We will be subjecting that to a number of questions tonight, but 60 individuals take them to be illegal miners for now, per the story of the Ghana Armed Forces, who then breached the security, and based on that, the Operation Halt 2 was deployed to the gold concession to restore calm. Unfortunately, casualties are being recorded now, 7 according to the Ghana Armed Forces, and then according to the Ghana Armed Forces again, we have 1 seriously injured. That's the account of the security agencies who were then deployed to restore calm. But this is where the story is getting very, very, very interesting, because when you take the account of the National Association of Small-Scale Miners, then we have a divided opinion as to how many people were killed in the first place and possibly how many injuries we're recording now. Take a look at this picture. 9 in terms of the perspective of the Association of Small-Scale Miners. They are talking about as many as 14 individuals who were seriously injured according to the perspective of the Small-Scale Miners Association. Mind you, these individuals would largely identify with this group, the Ghana National Small-Scale Miners Association, largely because the area in question, we understand, falls first of all within Anglo Gold's territory, but some areas closer to the concession, we understand, have been operated largely, and this is from unconfirmed sources, by small-scale miners, which sometimes, of course, because of the situation and crisis we have at hand, they are classified as illegal miners. We'll be subjecting that to the association when they join us tonight on PM Express. But take a look at this divergent opinion. 7 according to the military, 9 according to the small-scale miners. That's what's in contention now. But beyond that, we're getting to learn from the security report from the Ghana Armed Forces that the kind of ammunition that these individuals were in possession of gave them that high-handed approach of going ahead to open fire, because some lives were at stake of not just the individuals, the staff of Anglo Gold Ashanti, but also the men who were deployed to restore calm. A reason for which the armed forces is cautioning tonight that persons, especially those within the illegal mining space, would have to be cautious on opening fire on armed men or the armed forces. So that's a different story, but all of that will unfold tonight when we get into the community, get the reactions for you. But take a look at this. 5 in all classifications we've done per the briefing by the Ghana Armed Forces. They were using axes, machetes, gas cylinders, as we understand. In fact, pump action guns also came into the picture, according to the reports that were released by the Ghana Armed Forces. And of course, you see to your right there, the images, the very latest ones that we're receiving from the community. We'll go back there for you shortly. But gas cylinders were also used. And then there were locally manufactured guns that, of course, the illegal miners were using according to the report by the Ghana Armed Forces. And mind you, that's why we've always been talking about this. If you've been watching PM Express, the country is increasingly getting concerned about 1.1 million and traced small arms and light weapons that are in the possession of individuals that we're not able to track. That's been a national security challenge for the country. Beyond that as well, we know that there is, of course, the promise being made by the John Mahama administration just upon assuming office in less than plus or minus 14 days, you want to call it. This is where we are today, where, of course, this is their broad plan in terms of what their response will be, first of all, to the clashes, and then later I'll tell you about the promise they're making, because for now, immediate investigations is what the president has directed. Then there's also the call to Anglo-Gold Ashanti now, as we understand, they will be taking care of the cost, the expense of the individuals. 7 lives, according to the military, that have been lost, 9 according to the Small Scale Miners Association. All of that, of course, will be trashed out tonight. But take a look at the third point, because aside the burial, we're moving to the fourth point now, where the security agencies are also being charged now to restore peace. And the representative, or the minister designate for Ashanti region, that's Dr. Mwakuhini, we understand, has been to the community today as part of that regional security response to what's been happening, because the whole of Obuasi now is on fire, with a lot calling for de-escalation, because this could blow up into a whole community clash. But it's feeding into what's been happening there. If you take a look at the, the company itself, the mining firm at the center of this, they're making a lot of cash, obviously, over 490,000 ounces of gold being dug out from that concession every time. It's unclear the reason for which these 60 individuals are trying to make their way into that deep concession. We'll get all of the stories for you, but for now, just take a look at this quantum of gold. It's worth a fortune. And of course, if you're controlling such a very expensive concession, security will obviously be your concern, a reason for which the company said it had to take the step it took to invite the Ghana Armed Forces and other security agencies to contain the situation. But there's a bigger problem about illegal mining, which the NDC is promising to deal with, because these small-scale miners, of course, would want to have a piece of the cake, would also want to be doing the mining themselves, a reason for which there's a broad plan festival by the NDC administration. But that in no way, and take a look at point 1, endorses illegal mining. They, and I'm talking about the NDC, says they are in for a zero tolerance on illegal mining. If it's not approved, if you're working on a concession that's not being given to you, you're not giving the green light, except to say that if you find yourself within the small scale space, then a lot is going to be happening, because then they plan to strengthen the capacity of those in the sector, bring in more and more people and registered within the space. And then there'll be the setup of the gold board. Of course, we've had that through the appointment of Sami Jemfi, who's now moving to the PMMC. That's a story for another day. But the final plan is also to track every sort of earth-moving equipments that are going into concessions, and possibly also tracking the activities of the individuals. So that's the broad plan. But this is what the NDC is facing as we speak, because some of the civil society groups have done extensive work. I recall the work by CDD, which you have here, excerpts of their 2023 District Mining Development Scorecard, done in partnership with the Ford Foundation. This will be the challenge of the NDC if they are indeed planning to go ahead with the four-pronged approach in dealing with the issues of illegal mining, because as we speak, there's a weak governance structure, there's poor development outcomes that we're talking of in terms of royalty payments, which are not going deep down into the community as far as some of the residents in this mining areas are concerned. And then there's the issue about community participation, because they believe this is their land, they also have to benefit from the minerals. So that's the broad plan. But of course, these are the challenges emerging. But tonight, the story will start off from Obuasi. And that's where we'll be getting you all of the latest. We'll be doing that right after this break, when we speak to all of the people who matter. But first, though, I want to take you to the community, which is, of course, on fire as we speak. I'm sure that by now, after the visit of the regional minister-designate, a lot will be coming down by now. Let's get more from my colleague, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku, who's joining us right now to give us a sense of what's happening. Let's cross over there. Emmanuel, if you're with us, give us a sense of what's happening now and possibly how residents are feeling. And of course, we'll be getting all of that for you shortly. So just stay with us. We'll be in Obuasi in a minute. It's happening after the break, but take a look at this. We'll deal with the challenges and put the questions to those who matter. This is PM Express. I'm Blessed Sugan. Welcome to the show. Be my guest. We're back after this. And thanks for staying with us here on PM Express on the Joy News channel. It's time now to cross over to the Ashanti region. Obuasi, to be precise, is where we're heading to because of the clashes that emerged over the weekend at that gold concession of Anglo Gold Ashanti. My colleague Emmanuel Bright-Kweku is joining us live from there now. Emmanuel, I believe that, of course, de-escalation is taking place because that's what we want, isn't it? Tell us about what's been happening ever since the visit by the regional minister-designate and how the community has been responding to the unfortunate incident.
All right, so Blessed, we are currently in Obuasi, as you rightly mentioned. Where I am currently standing is the Amangwase area, and just behind me is one of the vehicles that were touched by the illegal miners during yesterday's incident. And so we understand that this particular vehicle crashed into a shop that was there and also touched the properties that were contained in the shop. We understand that they were selling some groceries in there. And so when you come to Obuasi generally, the sentiment has been with regards to security wise in terms of the escalations or the altercation that happened in this particular area. And so normally you should expect a bit of life in Obuasi even beyond 9 p.m. But as we speak now, where I'm currently standing, I have some fruit sellers over here, but they have started. They've begun parking their items to leave this particular area because they are citing some security concerns. We'll quickly interact with them, but I would want to run you by what has transpired throughout today in Obuasi. And so we know that today in Obuasi, public schools and even students were asked from both the public and private schools were asked not to go to school due to these security concerns. And so for today, no student was seen in any school at all here in Obuasi. This is because of what has happened. And so this was given by the director for the Ashanti region, the education director, and also the education directors for Obuasi East and also Obuasi municipality. So in both Obuasi East municipality, that is somewhere at the other side where I'm currently is the Obuasi municipal itself. In these two places, no schools to students, no student was in class as we speak. But we've also had the Ashanti regional minister designate, that's Dr. Frank Amakohene, come into Obuasi, this gold mining town. He moved to Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Before coming to Obuasi, he moved to the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, where we understand that some of the illegal miners who sustained some various degrees of injury were moved to. And so at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, that's where he went to see some of them. We understand that at Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, there are about 8 of them, but as we speak now, only 4 are currently hospitalized because of the conditions they are in. We understand that they sustained some injuries to their lower limb and also upper limb, and so they are currently on treatment at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. But the 4 others have been discharged to go home. And then from there, Dr. Mwakohene came straight into Obuasi Municipal, where he moved to the Obuasi Government Hospital, where the bodies of the deceased illegal miners have been deposited. That's the morgue over there. He went to see the bodies over there. We understand so far that some 9 persons, some 9 illegal miners have been confirmed dead as a result of yesterday's or Saturday's clash between the military and also illegal miners in the region. At Obuasi Government Hospital, Dr. Mwakohene engaged with the stakeholders and even the medical officers over there. because these confirmed bodies that are dead, because some of them are Muslims, their families had gone to the place to seek for their release, but we understand that the body was not released to them. But what we are gathering so far is that from tomorrow, we should expect their bodies to be released to the families. We understand that a mass burial could be held for all of these persons who are Muslims that were part. From what I've gathered, at least just one person is not a Muslim. And so for them, their family is hoping that they would release the body onto him and then they will preserve it at a private morgue. And so when you come to Obuasi generally, it is a security concerns that they are citing. Just before I came on air, I was speaking with some of the traders here who ply their wares just at the Amangwasu area. And these traders, normally you should expect them to sell even into the night. But unfortunately, some of them are parking their items just for security reasons. Some tell me that normally they should close around 11 p.m. and even during these times, that's when they get a little bit of the market. But today they have to move away. Even yesterday too, they didn't come around at all. And even in Obuasi town itself, today we understand that most of the shops in Obuasi did not open. We understand that even some banks did not even open at all for their customers to come and even do any transactions in Obuasi. So when you come to Obuasi, in terms of the economic activities with regards to the shops and all of that, some of them, they just did not come to work at all. So generally, it's the security concerns that these residents are citing here in Obuasi. Blessed.
All right, but how about the feeling of these residents? Have they spoken to you yet? Have they told you about how they're feeling? You know, you've given us a sense, but what more are they telling you? Are you able to interact with them?
Okay, so for the residents over here, it's a bit tense because this has not really happened in a while. Because normally, even when these illegal miners are trapped at the concession, they normally shouldn't find them dead or shot, open fire on them. But for such a case to happen, and even for them to come into the principal streets of Obuasi to burn cars, burn tires, and attack some persons, they generally, the security concerns, that is what is really worrying them. They do not know what could really happen in the coming days, and so they are calling for increased security, even though the Ghana police and even the military have deployed some security personnel into Obuasi town itself. They are hoping that at least it could be tightened a little bit. I've sighted some patrols, military patrols. Even as I came just this evening, I've seen some vehicles moving about in the town. But they're hoping that a lot more of the security concerns could be addressed, the security could be tightened so that they could go about their daily duties in Obuasi. Blessed.
Okay. Emmanuel, just work around the area. Let's see if we can cross back to you to hear from some of the residents, I believe, who you've been interacting with, and those who are just standing by with you. We'll be back to you shortly. But I also want to bring in now Godwin Ama, who is the General Secretary of the, he's one of the General Secretary, actually, of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. He's been to the community today as well. Fortunately, he's joining us via Zoom because I believe he's still there in Obuasi. And thank you so much, Godwin, for spending some time with us tonight. Let's get to it, because even some of the residents are terrified. They don't want to speak out publicly over the shock that they are still in. But clarify this for us. The Ghana Armed Forces is talking about 7. You're talking about 9 individuals who've died as a result of this shootout incident. What are we learning of now? Have you reconciled the figures?
Yes, first of all, let me say good evening to viewers. As the reporter said, we have 9 bodies at the morgue. We went there this morning, met with the local executives of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners. We first went to the police, had some meetings with them, because the time the incident happened, I was called very early in the morning, I think around 4 a.m. by the chairman of the Obuasi branch of the Ghana National Association to inform me of what had has happened to some youth that tried to trespass the fence of AG, and then they were shot by the military. So I asked them to liaise with the police and also work with other stakeholders to ensure that their bodies are conveyed to the morgue. So during the process, they said first it was 8 people that died on the scene, that they took them, and then the one died on the way to the hospital. So the number became 9. And then 14 were injured, and some were sent to the SD hospital, and then the rest were sent to the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital in Kumasi. And this afternoon, we were told 4 of them have been discharged from the Komfo-Anokye Training Hospital in Kumasi. And then we visited the rest who were in the SD hospital. So that is the situation. Yes, the 9 is confirmed.
So that seems to be an updated figure, obviously because of the time difference at which you issued your statement and that of the Ghana Armed Forces. So it does appear that there's some certainty to that. Obviously, the figures are going up in terms of the number of people who are seriously injured. But let's talk about the status of those who are injured now. Do we know if they're doing fine, or perhaps there's a bit more of a challenge with some of them?
Yeah, some of them, their situation is a bit complicated. As I said, 4 have been discharged. We went there, and 4 has been discharged at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, and then the rest are at the SD receiving treatments. But they are responding to treatment, and we pray that we don't have any more deaths. But we are working closely with them because we engage with the chairman and the executives of the association there, engage with some of the Muslim communities and then some party people there, and then we all try to advise the youth in Obuasi not to take the laws into their hands. They should remain calm so that we engage with the government to so that the committee that has been set will be able to investigate and come out with the main cause of the shooting incidents. Because according to the association, they sent some people there after they heard the issue. But as they said, there are guns and all that, they did not see it. I cannot also confirm that. But it's subject to the investigations so that we'll be able to know whether they opened fire on the military or not, or what caused the clashes. But as it is now, we've been able to talk to them so that they remain calm.
Okay, here's the point. And I just need to point out that the Ashanti Regional Minister Designate earlier agreed to speak to us. For some reasons, we are unable to reach him now. Perhaps if we get him in the course of the show, I would be able to put a few more questions to him. But you have a different narrative to what's happening. The classification from the Ghana Armed Forces is that these are illegal miners. Is that the same perspective you hold on these individuals?
Anytime you trespass a concession, the concession belongs to a Anglo-Gold Ashanti. So once you don't have any concession and you trespass on this concession, then you technically become an illegal miner. Obuasi has been a very typical mining area where there have been some sort of trespasses on the concession, especially on the AGA. And I can recall in 2016, where the mine was under maintenance and care, we had information of illegal operators who invaded the mines, the underground, which the AGA even took the Ghana government to international arbitration for that issue to be addressed. The government brought the Movement Committee 2016. And the Movement Committee, we had all stakeholders that were involved: the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, the Chamber of Mines, traditional leaders, the CSOs, the security agencies, and all that were part of the committee. And we were tasked to relocate all the miners from the concession. And through engagement, we had public debates and all that. and then we were able to relocate them to some areas that by then were part of AG's concessions that they release about 60% to government through the Minerals Commission. So there we sent some to Adumenua Bedouin, we sent some to Sushensu, Wamasi, and all those surrounding areas for them to mine or do their small-scale mining there. But unfortunately, there was change in government, and that was where the issue of illegal mining, the activity gained public and then the media coverage. So the NPP administration put a ban on all forms of mining, especially small-scale mining. So we couldn't complete the
telling us is, technically what you're telling us is that they are not entirely illegal miners. Just by breaching the security of Anglo Gold Ashanti, that's where the classification is coming in.
Yes, if you don't have a concession, if you are not working on a licensed area, you are working close to river bodies, which are buffer zones, and on river body, and on the river body itself, then you are perpetrating illegality. Because if a concession is given to you, you cannot use that same license because to go and mine. Unless it's given to you at Obuasi, I cannot take it to Dunkwa to go and mine. If I go there, I need to apply for a new license. But Obuasi, as we say, has been a traditional mining area where you have the large scale operating for a very long time. And these incidents have been coming once in a while, where when it comes, there is a way that we all sit to ensure that the mine, especially AGE concession, and where they operate, they are not disturbed. So we're shocked this morning. In fact, yesterday, the time I heard it, there have been issues that we've been engaging with the youth and the miners there, and even with the military. And most often we are able to come out without any casualty. But this is something that this is the first time we are seeing.
Yeah, indeed, it is shocking because looking at the sheer number of lives that we've lost. And I'll come to your call shortly for investigations and possibly what you're on the lookout for. But have we established the motive? At least we have some surviving individuals. Have they told you why they decided to move into that concession?
Yes, we tried to speak to some of them who went there, and they were saying it's like they went through the fence to go to one of the abandoned areas to go and mine, go and mine and get some ore bodies to treat and make some money for their survival. So that's the main motive of them going there. They were not going there to do any form of or go and attack anyone. That is what they said. As I've said, we need to, talk to all. Yeah,
but how I'm sorry for cutting through, but how do we believe that story when the armed forces is telling us that they were carrying, they were wielding weapons, for instance, machetes, axes, guns? Is that what some of your members use for mining?
If you are going to mine using especially going underground, they use chisels, they use hammers, they have knives sometimes to cut stuff and all that. So these are basic implements when you talk about rudimentary implements for
really, including guns.
I have not mentioned anything about guns. I'm telling you how some of the tools that are being used by especially artisanal operators. But for the guns, it was mentioned that some of them were using the guns. That's why I said through investigation we'll be able, because I did not, the pictures that came and all that, what we saw was the knives. I don't know whether you saw any pop action guns and all that, but I'm not ruling that out. I'm not saying the information out there is false or is true. It's subject to investigation. So after the investigation, then we'll be able to ascertain whether they were using guns and other local manufactured pieces for them to go in and engage in the shooting with the military. That I cannot say anything about it until the investigation has been done and the committee have come out with their reports for us all to really unravel what really happened that night. But for now, it's all people come in with their own accounts of what happened, which at the end of the day, we put the pieces together. Those who went there, some of them are alive. They can say what happened. We have other stakeholders also who are in Obuasi also can see what they also know about the whole situation. But I can say tensions are not as high as it was the Saturday evening and then yesterday. Today we met with most of them and they are calm. They are waiting for the outcome of the committee so that we move forward. But I would say the association, we've worked with AGA, we have very cordial relationship with them. When there are issues, we discuss. So I think this will bring some sort of, when we are able to handle it well, it will bring a lasting solution.
Yeah, and the best way to handle this, I believe, from your perspective as the Small Scale Miners Association, is that there should be a thorough investigation. The point you were raising earlier about where these individuals were headed to a dejected site, right? That's the account. Of course, we're also hearing from what we've seen on social media as well, the fact that these individuals were not necessarily going into the main concession. Help us understand that. What really happens with abandoned mines? I believe the standard protocol is to shut down these mines. How come we have individuals still moving there?
You know, the whole area, AGA have fenced all the operations areas. There's a fence there, and some of them go through the fence to go and work there. Once you enter, there are some security concerns, and I think that is why they brought the military to safeguard the place. So the operations of the mine, every mine differs. So AGA will be able to really explain why, because you have your mine plan, you have your mine life, you have areas that you'll be working in when the prices of gold goes to certain amounts, which makes those places viable. Some, they close, they shut down, they develop the underground, and they reopen the place and all that. So there are so many reasons why some of these places are left, and then later they have to work and get their operations going.
Okay. Do you believe, and speaking about AGA, the company at the center of all this, what questions do you feel that they need to be, or they ought to be answering now? Because they've issued a statement. All they seek to do is to affirm the incident. That's how their press release is titled, just supporting what it is that the Ghana Armed Forces is telling us. Do you feel they have more questions to answer?
I think when the committee meets, they will be able to come out with questions that they need to ask AGS. But as we speak now, even I call some of the sustainability guys, but they themselves said they don't know much about what happened. They were shocked about the issue. It's just the Sunday morning, and they heard that there has been this sort of engagement between some of the youth and then the military concerning them trespassing to go to, especially Kudor area, to go and then get some stones out to process and make some money out of it. So I cannot really, but the whole thing is how then, for me, when the committee meets and then the investigations are done, we should put systems in place so that this issue don't occur again. Can we have something that we call a coexistence policy so that the youth and then the company can, because you travel to some of these countries. I was in Tanzania, there are some mines there that part of the CSI, they develop small scale areas so that they apply their trade and they also work. And there are some sorts of technical support from some of the mines. So these are some of the lessons that we can learn so that instead of this issue coming, and then some of the companies we have in bad name because they've signed up the voluntary principle on human rights, especially within where they are working to safeguard lives of community folks and all that. It's something that we need to look at. At the association, I would say we don't encourage people going on anyone's concession without licenses to go and perpetrate any illegality. But as it stands, we have human lives involved. We all need to come together, work to restore calm in the community so that AGA can go on with their work. And then the communities also and the youth will also get places where they can operate as licensed and formalized small-scale miners. So going forward, we'll engage with.
We'll get back to the issue about coexistence. But just one more point on the directive coming through from the presidency. There's a clear directive from the president asking for investigations into the matter. But beyond that, there's a question around what obligations AGA is having now. And the directive is that they would have to bear the cost of the funeral of these 9 individuals. Is that not questionable, knowing that at least investigations are still proceeding? You still want the company at the center of this to bear the cost?
I think that directive was given to government, and there's a rationale behind that. So they would best in the position to answer that. But for sometimes when you have tensions and among communities like that, some of these things really shows as coming out with I don't know the word to use now, but it's like you are trying to do something to let the people calm down so that you'll be able to move the activity. But it's on the company whether to follow the directives or not. But that one, I think government issued that press statement, and there is a rationale behind that. So I think behind the scenes, because we're there today with the minister, he came in, we even greeted him because of time, and there's so many people come in there. You have to get some closed-door meetings with the company and all that. So whatever transpired, I think it will come to the public domain soon, so that we are abreast with the situation.
Okay. Now on the issue of coexistence, and perhaps what more demands you have now as the National Association of Small-Scale Miners, because this is feeding into the broad conversation we've been having about illegal mining and how the country is unable to deal with the issue. Does this make a case for you?
Yeah, I think we can use this case to really formalize the operations of especially of mining around the Obuasi Mine enclaves, develop political interference and vested interest and all that, so that we have proper small-scale mining going. Because small-scale mining, if it's done properly, both upstream and downstream benefits, create job opportunities, and you have other linkages in terms of within the supply chains where caterers get food for them, hotel, hospitality, so much. It opens the whole economy. So we are praying that we'll be able to use this as an opportunity to formalize it, and then ensure that they work without some of these incidents, and also work and comply with the rules and regulations of the games of mining, and then be able to work under safe conditions where even accidents and which leads to sometimes death and all that will be managed.
And you know, the Obuasi community itself, and what we've been trying to map out in terms of how rich it is in gold, and yet the community itself has not benefited as much. I stand to be corrected on that. But as the Association of Small-Scale Miners, how do we get the community to benefit from such wealth within its territory?
I think look at sometimes when we are looking at the issue of mining and the benefits, we are looking at only royalties. But if you look at the entire supply chain, what feeds into the mine? How then do we be able to get proper data of companies that feed into the mine and the taxes that they pay, and where does it go to? If we are able to manage that, then we will be able to get some into development of these areas. Because, for instance, you have cocoa roots, proceeds from cocoa, some goes into kitty that are used to construct roads and other things. The same way, the gains that we get from mining, if we are able to consolidate it, put it into one, and then use revenues from gold mines for this and for that, instead of putting all together into consolidated fund, then people really see the benefits that they are getting directly from them. Then number two, if you have indigenous mining, the profit will not go up there. The profit stays in the community. I can tell you a lot of development that you see in Obuasi in terms of offices, space, buildings that springs out. Most of them are coming from these small-scale miners because that's where they stay. So when they get money, they invest in the community. So we need to encourage them. We want the big players to operate in safe condition and get profit from their investments. The same way we need to cater for the small-scale miners or the indigenous there so that the wealth that is made spreads across or cuts across and the multiplier effect will be higher. So it's not something that it will be a dating, but we should use policy in terms of getting that done. And the essence, the next, you look at the downstream, which is the value addition, that can also be deepened. We're talking about value addition for so long. And if we're able to develop it properly, we even get more of these people being employed downstream, so that at the end of the day, the whole country benefits, the community benefits, so that indigenous that stay who do not get access to job opportunities in the mine will also get some sort of training into value addition so that they will be able to even take some of this raw good that they get into jewelry and market them. So we should look at it in a broader perspective as a country.
We'll be wrapping up shortly, but I want us to again gauge the mood within the community, because these are very salient points that you're raising about community involvement and how all these persons feel left out. What's been happening to them ever since, and perhaps how are they feeling now? And Emmanuel Bright Quick is still with us, because Emmanuel, you're still within the community, is it? Trying to check what's the latest now. Bring us up to speed.
Earlier, I've come close to the central police station that's in Obuasi, and around this area, you should expect a little bit of, we have a metro mass around the police station, just opposite the police station. So sometimes those who are traveling out of Obuasi normally comes here. But I have this grocery seller, a hawker actually. She sells some, I can see some water, some drinks and soft drinks, I must say, quickly for a short interaction on what their concerns are. Ma, good evening.
Fine.
Nampacho, what point to say?
Uncle Pandum.
Okay. Now, your fano in summer SCC or Obuasi, what you are the Tony in o secret to Bambo who sem no Senate here.
Sesiano, na me nyana atorancha matu munti ama sesiano upie kura na usuru nti ye kura ya wi se be ko fie sesia nti ye nche wa hase.
But normally now ton wa dey man boss and I describe it chairman hase area mo hase no Senate here wa ha.
E dey ba ton dey itimi nya be 4 million or 5 million isi a 2 million kura ye nya. Ti isi ana ma ehu akan ti e chase ye hie ko fie na yenso ye ko rest na ye hwede yankopon obeye.
Minim say station, bus station be wa ha. Saying I say normally I go for Baha these days by Senate.
2 days na obi ansi ya meto ade.
Obi ansi ade nti.
Say areho ne ehu ahye ma ye raho.
Okay, but Chemio Monday and they Monday. Normally Monday be na Senate here wo hase station hase.
Monday there times ya na ye to ade. E say na nso e ba market na ye enema nyina na esisi won. Mkoye.
And then during the day no so Senate na me nyan nti say shops bebe o come market ya tutum ni ade Senate.
Nipa am store. Areho aka na ehu ahye ma nti ma. Ntimi emie emu store.
Okay, but one kasa ya no normally o betina ha o pon be tambe.
At least I na me pon be 12.
12. Bende o be ko tambe.
And na me free abe 11 going.
11. Okay. Now security is same thing now.
Okay. Me ja wonyina ehu ma shock ehu aka me.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So that's a grocery seller, a hawker here at right. The station opposite the Metro Mass station here in Obuasi. And she has been explaining to us that in the last few days that this escalation has happened in Obuasi, her business has not really boomed, because normally you should find some travelers moving out of Obuasi. But since the incident happened, the numbers have quite dwindled. And so she's not having a lot of people come here to buy from her. So, Blessed, this is what is currently happening here.
Okay, indeed. And of course, stay safe out there as well as you carry out this report for us. Emmanuel Bright Kweko giving us the latest from Obuasi, which, of course, is experiencing that tension simply because of the clashes that emerged over the weekend. It's a good time now to bring in the president's representative within the region, who is in the person of the Ashanti Regional Minister Designate, Dr. Amwakohene, is with us tonight. Thank you so much, sir. And of course, we understand that due to your tight schedule, you were not able to join us from the start of the show, but it's a good time to have you now because a number of questions emerging as to the fallout from the engagements that you've done today. You've been to the community. Is that the end of the story, or perhaps there's more to learn about?
Thank you very much. So, yes, the president was around on Saturday and Sunday when the incident occurred, but we had to have a meeting concerning the incident, and the president issued a white paper to commence investigation into the process. Having issued that, there was a need to make sure there was normalcy established pending the final conclusion of the matter, because we still have to find a way to get all the stakeholders to still coexist and make sure that AGA returns back to work whilst the investigation is ongoing, because there was so much tension among others. So the stakeholders included the individuals who were actually involved in the whole process, which included those who were injured among the family of those who were deceased. So we started our engagement with those who were injured, who were at Konfanochi. So we had to visit them, talk to their family, and also engage them and give them the assurances of the president in terms of having commissioned a very fair process of investigating the issues as led to the incidents that occurred during the weekend. Having done that, we had to go to Obuasi. And when we went to Obuasi, at the hospital, we realized that all the individuals who were injured and were at the Obuasi hospital were all discharged. And there were families and the individuals who were very much apprehensive were the families that had lost lives. So the engagement had to be with the community and the families who were actually with the concern of.
It's instructive to note that you're describing them as individuals who breached the area, but the Ghana Armed Forces appears to be referring to them as illegal miners already. Do you feel that that's preempting perhaps the findings that may come out from the investigations that are taking place?
I think that because the investigation is ongoing, we would not want to be in a haste to describe them in any manner that may preempt the investigation. That is why we are referring to them as such. So as I was saying, we entered the morgue to look at the bodies, and the authorities were finding it difficult to identify all the bodies. So we quickly had to bring in the stakeholders and the community leaders, the imams, the chiefs who could help with the identification process. So we organized them, entered the morgue with them so that they could see the bodies and then help with the identification process, which helped a lot. After that, we had to engage the media, engage the community, and let them have the assurances of the president in terms of the investigative process that has been initiated. And also let them be aware that we would not want to have any situation where anyone has taken the law into his or her own hands in terms of the uprising that was occurring, the burning of cars among the others, that everything should cease in terms of all the issues that were happening. We engaged the families, and one of their concerns was getting the bodies. So we told them that once there's an investigation process, there should be an autopsy done. Once the autopsy is done, we'll be able to release the body. Importantly for us, the regional police, Asante South Divisional, has been able to organize a pathologist who was available, and the process had commenced. So we are sure that some bodies will be made available, I'm sure, by tomorrow to the family. From there, we had to proceed to the AGA, the company that had the incident occurring on their land. So we had a conversation with them as well and gave them the assurances of the president and our willingness to engage in the stakeholders so that they can return to work pending the final investigation of the matter, which was a very fruitful one as well.
Is that to say that the mine will not remain closed in spite of the clashes that emerged there? It should be classified as a crime scene now, isn't it, knowing that some individuals had breached the area according to the security agencies?
So the mine has a northern camp and then the southern area. The southern area is where the active mining processes are ongoing, and the issue occurred within the northern side, which is not an active site for the mining activities so far as the AG is concerned. So they can commence work without affecting or tampering with the evidence so far as the other areas are concerned. So they can actually resume work, and the schools can actually reopen once we are very certain that the stakeholders, so far as the communities are concerned, are at peace and have confidence in the process that the president has initiated, which we want to achieve, because they can't remain closed for the entire weeks and days within which the investigations are still ongoing. So after our engagement with them, we realized that they were a bit at peace, which we think that with constant engagement with the stakeholders, including the AGA, we should be able to get the company back at work and everyone back to their respective duties pending the final determination of the matter. The last stakeholders we had to engage and send the president's compliments to was one of the military operatives who equally got injured in the process. So after engaging with the authorities that are in question, we had access to him and also sent the compliments of the president to him regarding that in uniform, you're on duty for the country. So any operations whatsoever that involves any sort of injury as it has occurred to the men in uniform is of a major concern to the president as well, and also assured him that anything concerning his recovery, concerning the bills whatsoever of the medical commitments that we needed to make to ensure that he is fine, the president has made adequate preparations so that our men in uniform who equally was involved in the incident and are injured can also have a very fair and a very inclusive process in terms of making sure to take care of their medical bills.
For the sake of time, and briefly going into the future, we're just hearing from a trader there pointing out to us that clearly they don't feel safe. They would want security beefed up so they can carry out their night trading and normal daily activities. Are you planning to deploy more men, or perhaps what more security measures will be in place in the coming days as we wrap up?
Moving forward, I think that we will need to do more community engagement, more community engagement to assure the residents and to assure the people and to beef up security so that people will feel safe operating and going about their normal activity. This may take some days for people to feel safe because It was a major incident. There's been pockets of clashes in the past. This is the first time I must mention that there's been an attempt by so-called indigenous or so-called illegal miners to encroach on those lands. But this has been a major hit to the community because of the deaths involved. So it will take more community engagement to restore normalcy.
Indeed. Dr. Frank Makohene is the Ashanti Regional Minister Designate. Of course, we know that you have a broader plan of tackling illegal mining, which will be a conversation that we'll have with you later on when you are affirmed by Parliament. But grateful indeed that you've been able to spend some time with us, giving your hectic schedule today to Obuasi. Grateful indeed for your time. And that's all we have for you here on PM Express with me, Blessed Sugan. We'll see you again next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.